Well, hello everyone, yep, I'm back. A long overdue video from the Canal Sidings Model Railway channel. I have been away for something like 4 months, and I think in the last video I did mention why I might be away, and that is that we were having our lounge decorated, and in doing that we had to clear the lounge, which took about 10 days to empty it. And filled up the garage, the dining room, some of the conservatory, the hallway, some of the bedroom, and of course this room that I do my railways in. So that put a stop to me doing any railways until I got it back to normal again. We had the room decorated, took about a week, everything went fine, new carpet laid, and then we had to rebuild the room with all the stuff we'd taken out, trying to avoid putting all the stuff back, of which there was a lot. When you live in a house for 40 years you do accumulate just too much. But we did manage to get rid of quite a bit of it, and so now we have a much tidier lounge, and the rest of the house is coming back to normal. The garage is still suffering because I've got a lot of stuff in there, and we've still got rubbish that we're gradually throwing away. Anyway, that accounted for about a month or more. And while I was unable to do any railways, my mind started to wander, as it does, and my thoughts turned to 3D printing again. And before I knew it, I'd bought a 3D printer, which hopefully I will be showing you some pictures of now. That's all you're going to see. I have no intention of making this a 3D printing channel. If I print anything, you will see it, and I shall just in passing mention that I've printed it from my own design or whatever. But that'll be it. I will not be doing 3D printing videos. That's the second thing that held me up. The third thing that's held me up really is trying to make some progress from the last video on the actual railway, and I will show you that at the end of the video. Just one more thing that I spent some time on. I upgraded my laptop, and I've gone from a 750 gig hard drive, which was definitely getting a bit too full, to a 1 terabyte SSD. So we'll see how that goes. At the moment the PC is lightning fast and I've got some spare space. Finally, over the last couple of weeks, some arsehole, I can't think of a better word for him, has hacked my email account and my eBay accounts. They didn't get anything, they got no money out of me, but he sent me an email trying to extort money out of me. Reckoned that to avoid posting a video of me watching porn, how he was going to prove that it was me watching porn, I don't know. But he suggested that he'd got a picture of me from my webcam on my PC, and that he was going to send that to all my contacts on email. And I guess that happened after he couldn't get anywhere on my eBay account. But anyway, I just ignored him, and that was about a week ago. I don't know that anything's happened, but whatever he shows is not likely to have the truth. He did actually tell me what my my email account password was, and I think that's the only thing he'd found. I immediately changed that. He said, "Don't think you can change that back again, because I'll immediately go and change it again." But he hasn't. And I no longer use that email account anyway. I'm using a different one, and I'm going to be setting up yet another one. So anybody out there who knows my NTL World account number, my NTL World email address, that address will no longer be functioning fairly soon. Any other email address you've got for me will be fine. Okay, so what I'll do now is turn you round and we'll have a look at what I've been doing on the layout. Right, here we are again. This time we're looking at the railway. You've all seen the baseboard tops before, and the baseboard stretches down there. I've done nothing new to the baseboards at all since last time. But what I have done, as you can see, is I now have a backscene. It's very early stages of the backscene. The backscene material runs out here, so I've just added some sky, but I'm going to have a cutting here, and some trees on top of it, so we will not be missing out on backscene there. It'll just be covering most of that sky that goes down to the ground. Now the backscene is not part of the railway. It's not part of the baseboards. This white strip along here is part of the backscene, but it actually has a lip on it at the front here which sits over the top of the edging on the baseboard. And if I tip this up and pull it out, you can actually see now, I hope, pull it out far enough, you can actually now see that here there is a lip. That lip is about 4 millimeters over the top of this wood, which is the stop for the baseboard, and it is also what holds up the backscene, and it rests on the speed frame shelf. It doesn't have any effect on the baseboards. And what you do with the baseboards is you push them and they go under it. It does get a little bit difficult. You just lift the edge of the baseboard up and it will pop underneath, and now the baseboard is held down by the backscene. What I will then be doing is adding some of these, which we talked about before, which are very low relief buildings, and I will be adding on to those, or behind those, some cutouts like this. This is a cutout of some terraced houses which I got off of not YouTube, Google Images, that's the one. And this is a piece of road which I intend to put between the buildings. So let's say this is the building that comes next. Then what you will see behind it would be a small piece of road and some terraced houses sitting at about that height, so that it covers up this bottom of the baseboard. Having got all that on and these fixed to the baseboard, I think they fall over too easily. Yes, they do, they fall over. So, but we'll just hold one of them up. Right, I will just hold one of them up. Right, that's the position that it will ultimately be in, let's say. And what I will do is I will finish all the way along here with scenic material, and along the front here I will put a security fence which will be part of the backscene. It will not be fixed to the baseboard, and the scenery on the baseboard will finish just inside the back one of those ledges. Obviously there will be some cork on here, and that means that the backscene doesn't have to come off with the baseboard, and the baseboards are relatively easy then to take off to work on. Now that doesn't look like much work until you consider just the great difficulty that I had achieving what I needed to do. If we look at this, this is a one-to-one drawing of a full-scale drawing of what goes on at that angle where there is an upright. There's one there, there's one about here I think, And there's another two up there. And this is a full-scale drawing of what goes on. Here is the shelf support, the shelf bracket, and here is the vertical support on the wall. These are the white pieces. Yeah, the baseboard is a front rail and a rear rail made out of the speed frame, and it's topped off with a bit of 3mm MDF, and then the baseboard itself is about 66mm from bottom to top. That's 66mm. Obviously the scale in this direction is very much foreshortened. This should be way out here somewhere. This should be way off here somewhere. So what we then have is these yellow pieces are what I had to fabricate to get a back scene. The first one is something nominally 15mm high that sits on here, which is screwed to it, which is the right height for this. They're all packed to different heights to get the back of the shelf level. This one sits in front of it and stops it from moving forward, and this one sits behind it and stops it moving back. These have to be packed out slightly differently because the four of these as it runs along the wall are not all in the same straight line because the wall's not dead flat. And then sitting on top of here, in fact, this is part of this, sitting on top of here is that wood that you just saw the top of there, the baseboard behind it, sorry, baseboard, the back scene board behind it, and here is the piece of plastic that we talked about just now. And that plastic is, if I can find a piece of it, is just a piece of evergreen strip, like this. It's 19mm by 2.5mm, and I've chamfered the front edge to allow the baseboard to drop under it easily. The way I chamfered it was simply clamped it down to the edge of the shelf, got a knife blade and just ran it along a few times to get a decent chamfer, and then just polished it with some fine sandpaper. So what that does is it gives me a back scene that I don't end up adding any weight to the baseboards with, an easy way of getting the baseboards out from under the back scene, and a guarantee that the baseboards are all pushed down and kept level to the back scene, assuming I get all the backing pieces. That's this lip, this back piece of the baseboard, assuming I get all those the same height, which is one of the next jobs I shall be doing, making sure that they are as near as makes no difference, the same height all the way along. And that holds the whole thing down. What I then will be doing at the front, and I'm just going to tip the camera forward a bit so that you can see the front. Be a bit of a... okay, there's the front of the baseboard you can see now, which is this bit along here, and this is the shelf. What I will be doing there is I will be fixing some 4mm material. Don't have a piece of 4, but this is 3. I shall fix 4mm material all the way along, screwed into here with self-tapping screws, pushing that way, and that will go all the way along the baseboard. I've got to do a little bit of adjustment here and there. There'll be pieces going all the way along the baseboard, and fixed to the top of that will be yet another section of evergreen plasticard, evergreen styrene I should say, which will sit on top of can't do this one handed. The piece that I'm fitting will be 4mm, that's this. The front of the baseboard is 3mm, that makes 7. At the moment I've only got 3 here, so I've got a millimetre over this. Sorry about that. But that being fixed to the top of here, and this then being screwed into the metal frame, will hold the front of the baseboards down and stop them tipping, and that's easily removable. So what that means then is we can get the baseboards out just as you saw before. All of that by a little bit of lift and pull. and then the baseboard will come all the way out. Now, there is going to be one other tension on it, and that is that there's going to be a push in that direction. Let me just put you back up so you can see the rest of it again. Okay, there's also going to be a push in that direction from way down the other end of the baseboard, pushing on the baseboards and effectively pushing them all up against this, which is an immovable object. It's the existing baseboard. That way the baseboards are all crushed together, they're all held down at the back and they're held down at the front, so they shouldn't be able to move. Then I'll have a stable, repeatable position where the baseboards are, that I can know that I can lay my track across the baseboard joints and know that I can realign it easily because everything is fixed. The other point is that, as I've said before, there's some cork to go on here. Here is a piece of cork. This is not the actual cork I'm using, but this is a piece of nominal 4mm cork. You notice it goes up to there, but there is still a step down from this. So I can scenic this and put some grass, etc. along there and just cover that step. I shall be painting all of this and so that it doesn't look too bad if it's showing, but I'm going to put a security fence, as I said, all along the front. And what you also get is that the track, not quite with this piece of 4mm stuff, but this bit of 4mm cork is a bit dodgy, but the track almost lines up. Actually, what is happening is I've got to stop. I've got something there that's pushing that up, as you can see, a leg, because I keep leaning on it and pressing it down. Yeah, now it's almost perfect. This is just pushing it up a little bit too hard, but there's nothing supporting this end yet. I haven't quite worked out whether I'm going to support it or not, so I can lean on it now and not have a problem. So it's just pushed it out a little bit. So that's where I've got to, and I have the back scene in place all the way along to the window. Okay, I think you can see all the way along there. Just, yep, you can see to the end of the back scene, which again, as you see, I ran out of the back scene prints and I've just used the best match sky paper for the top that I can find. At that end there will be a forest or a wood, because it will be going round a corner. I'll go down there. Just going to pick up a ruler. There will be a forest stroke of wood down here that will run from somewhere around about here, I think, around the sharp curve at the end here. And the wood will consist of trees that are around about 6 inches tall. So we're well above that piece of backscene, and that will start around about here and will be on both sides of the 3 tracks that go around. So there'll be 3 tracks running in the middle, and the trees will hide the fact that the back scene itself doesn't continue. For the people who are interested, the upright that they're all stuck to is 3mm hardboard, or if you're American, masonite, and I've painted both sides of it with a matte white emulsion or latex paint, again if you're American, and I have then stuck on Gauge Master back scenes. This particular one is this Gauge Master back scene, which is industrial, I think it says. Yeah, it's GM 706 industrial back scene large. I do like ID back scenes, I have to say, but I've only got 12 inches of height and ID back scenes are 15 inches high, and I didn't want to have to cut 3 inches off the top or bottom. so I decided to use this, which I had in stock anyway. And the sky is also a Gagemaster product. This is Gagemaster GM705 Sky Backscene, which strangely doesn't match the colour of the sky in that one exactly. There's a bit in the middle here that does seem to match, which is where I've tried to pinch the ends from, but I haven't really been that good. However, it doesn't grate on me too much, the difference. Other things that I've got to sort out are, at the moment, the backscene is in 3 pieces because I want to do all the work on it as much as possible before I mount it. So I have just here, this doesn't fit, but they will eventually be glued together. Unfortunately, what that then does is shows a little bit of white down there. Not much I can do about that because this paper that Gagemaster used is pretty awful. I fixed it up with a small thickness, a sparing amount of wallpaper paste, but it still stretches the paper like hell, and then when it dries it shrinks back and you get massive creases in it until it shrinks back again. But you know, beggars can't be choosers. That's the way it is, and that's the way I'm doing it. I can't make that one piece because there's no way I can wield it into place. It's just not possible. So that is what the job that I've been doing over about the last 3 weeks. It's been a slow job because there's been a lot of waiting for paint to dry, a lot of waiting for glue to dry. I've had to do the drawing, work out everything. Now I've got several packing pieces here which have been designed specifically to go in front of the back scene, to go behind the let me show you that picture again. They pack the back scene element out to make this piece the right size between the back scene and here. That's got to be a fixed size, but there will be some packing down here as well, simply because I need to be able to adjust it because of the non-flatness of the wall. So that's where I am at the moment. I'm going to get out of here now because the temperature in here is about 26 degrees. There's no air movement, even though I've got a small fan running, which is not pointing at me anymore. And it is very hot and sticky in here. The humidity says it's only 52%, but it feels much worse than 52% humid in here. So I'm going to say goodbye now and hope that I can be back much quicker for the next video. So please subscribe and tickle that little like or the dislike if you must, and leave me a comment, and I'll be back with another video as soon as I can. Bye for now.